How's it hanging, everybody? So today we're talking Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is in a very interesting spot because it is a major franchise. When you think about how big Dragon Quest is, especially in Japan, I mean, we're talking theme parks, restaurants, TV shows. It is a massive property and it is a significant fixture in pop culture. It's almost like a Pokemon equivalent in Japan. It's massive. And for such a massive series, the mainline games are almost entirely unavailable on modern platforms, with the exception of mobile. And we'll talk about that. Nothing wrong with these games being available on mobile, by the way, but I think for many of us, it's just kind of a last resort option. I mean, so many of us, you know, here in the West and other parts of the world and Japan have invested in gaming setups, consoles, PCs, whatever, where we can play and enjoy these console games made for console, games made to be played essentially on a TV. Now these immersive TV experiences are shrunken down to the mobile screen and available almost exclusively there. And it's just not ideal. Again, it's kind of a last resort. I think here in the West, we are more not as open-minded about mobile. I think in Japan, mobile is, I think, a very accepted way to play something like a Dragon Quest game, or not a very accepted way, but a more accepted way to play something like a mainline Dragon Quest entry. Nerd culture is just different in Japan and the United States, and really Dragon Quest transcends nerd culture in that region. Here in the West, however, it's definitely more of a niche role-playing game property, and we JRPG players here in the West, we like our Nintendo Switches, we like our PlayStations, we like our PCs, that kind of thing. So we want to play these amazing, like expansive, like best game of all time contender games on the best rig possible, on the best setup possible, our biggest screen, our best sound system, all that kind of stuff. And hey, if we can go hybrid with it, with like the Switch or something, that would be all the better. But I think that for most of us, these games, those of us who are familiar with the series, we know how special some of these games are, and we know that we just want to play them on our best setup. So Dragon Quest, very interesting situation that it finds itself in, because for a major property, the games aren't available. And I can't think of any other major video game franchise where the mainline games are just absent. You think about something like Elder Scrolls, right? Think about how many times Skyrim has been ported over and over and over. And think about just about every other game franchise imaginable. I mean, most of the games are playable in some form on modern consoles and PC. But Dragon Quest is just not the case. It's the case with spin-off games like Dragon Quest Builders, Heroes, Monsters, Dragon Quest Rocket Slime. And of course a million mobile games. There's so many games that are available from the offshoots of the series, but we're talking about the mainline series today. And really what I want to do today is just go down the list, look at all the different entries in the series, because I'm really curious to know when we might get the next sort of port of an older Dragon Quest game, or when we're actually going to see these games just become available, period. Square Enix has not given us any kind of roadmap. We don't know what to expect. So we kind of just have to look at the numbers, the release dates, and maybe figure that out ourselves. So that's what we're doing today. It's not going to be a very visually impressive video, so apologies for that. I'm actually going to reduce this by 1. Yeah, there we go. Zooming out just a tad. Okay, so at the top here, the original Dragon Quest game, originally released in 1986. The most recent version of this game released was for the Nintendo Switch in 2019. That same version exists on PlayStation 4, released in 2017. So this is probably the most recent port available, and it this original trilogy 1, 2, and 3, they are all in the same boat, released at the same time, and it's, excuse me, it's nice that we have this original trilogy. This is pretty much the only games, the only classic games available on modern platforms. It's nice that we have them on the Nintendo Switch, but I think many people would argue that 1 and 2 are maybe not so important to play. Like, if you really have to play like one Dragon Quest game, like these two games are at the bottom of the list because they're just very dated experiences. They're really light on story. And Dragon Quest III is when things started opening up. So it is really nice that we have Dragon Quest III available on modern platforms. Many people call this the best game in the series. But this version of the game isn't so good. We are getting an HD 2D remake eventually, hopefully this year, but maybe not. We'll just have to wait and see. But this, I'm happy that this original trilogy is available. Just in the grand scheme of things, there are much, much better games, with the exception of 3, to make available. So we have these games, but we really need 4, 5, and 6, probably more. We need 8, we need 7, we need 9. These are the entries that we're probably more in need of than that original trilogy. But let's move on to 4 through 6. So these games came out on the DS in 2008, 2009, and 2011, respectively. And let's see, the most recent versions were released on mobile in 2014 and 2015. So it's been a long time since these games have really seen a reissue or anything like that. So I think that 4, 5, and 6 are very likely to be the next ones that we see made available. Now, we don't know if they're going to be, dropping all in a trilogy, kind of like the first 3 did, or if we're going to get them more spaced out. We don't really know. Let's look back up here. It's not giving me dates for the Nintendo Switch version. That's okay. So Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6, highly likely that these will be the ones that Square Enix decides to come forward with. Now, Dragon Quest 7 is another game that's available on mobile, like almost all of these games are on mobile. Dragon Quest 7 originally released in 2000, North America 2001, and came to the 3DS in 2016. I actually think that 3DS version maybe came to the West in the following year, or maybe not, I don't know. But Dragon Quest 8, that is another game that came to the 3DS, and it came, I believe, it's not, let's see, it's come to 3DS in 2016. I think that, 2015. I believe this game actually came to North America in the very tail end of 2016. So it's like basically right before the Nintendo Switch came out, Dragon Quest 8 hit the scene for the 3DS. And everybody was like, huh? Like, why would you put this game on a dated platform? Why not put it on the new platform? I guess the install base was just much bigger for the DS at the time, the 3DS at the time. Let's keep going. So anyway, 7 and 8 have been released pretty recently, so I don't necessarily suspect that we're going to get either of these anytime soon, which is really kind of a shame. I think especially when it comes to Dragon Quest 8, because it was a big turning point for the series. It really saw the series go out of the chibi art style and into a more sort of mature and cinematic type of format. And we've only seen the game return to that format, I guess, with 10 and 11. But let's move on to Dragon Quest 9. Dragon Quest 9 was released in North America in 2010, a long time ago, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, if we're talking the Japan version. And this game is an exclusive to the DS. Now, this game has multiplayer. That's the focus of this game, is to support multiplayer. So I think that this 9 is also a very, very likely thing that we could get this game made available on modern platforms, because it's just been so long that we've seen a playable version of the game. Now, of course, the DS is backwards compatible, or DS games are compatible with the 3DS. So if you have a 3DS, yes, you can still play this game. But I mean, I think that this game would do well to be on modern platforms and stuff like that. Give it a nice upscale, and make sure that multiplayer support is still there. I think that one could be potentially a big hit to see a resurgence. Okay, next up is Dragon Quest X. So this is a weird one. Released on the Wii initially in 2012, and it's not been released in any other parts of the world. It is basically an online-only game, a massive multiplayer online game exclusive to Japan. So they've never seemed interested in bringing this game to the West. It's now 10 years old. We're not going to see it come to the West, but we might see the offline version. Excuse me. As we can see here, let me get that highlighted. So Dragon Quest IX offline is planned to be released in Japan on February 26, 2022. Now, I think that got pushed back to this summer, so I think it's still coming, but it's in the summer. The game will feature a chibi art style featuring the story of Dragon Quest X in a single-player format. So this game is basically being contained in its own standalone, like, mainline Dragon Quest entry experience, and that is really cool. This is another game that we don't have in the West on major platforms, and we don't know if we're going to be getting it later. I certainly hope that we are. It seems like a no-brainer to give us this Japan exclusive online game in the form of an offline game. Like, give us access to that experience, give us access to that story. This is a mainline Dragon Quest game. Like, you can sell this game in the West, no problem. So hopefully they're doing the translation and we'll get an announcement soon. It's just baffling that, this game was announced a year ago and we still don't have confirmation that it's coming to the West. Frustrating. Square Enix, if you know it's coming, just tell us. Just give us something of a roadmap so we know what's happening with the series. Okay, one thing I want to check here is, did this game come to the Switch? There's lots of DLC packs and stuff like that. Came to the Wii. Also available on the Wii U, Microsoft Windows, Android, 3DS, and Nintendo Switch. So there is a Nintendo Switch version of 10, the online game. Okay, lastly, we have one of my favorite games of all time, Dragon Quest XI. Dragon Quest XI is really the only Dragon Quest game that is available in a peak form on modern platforms. It's not like a port of a mobile version of the game. It's not a game that has weird graphic and like stuttering issues like that original Trilogy does on modern platforms. This is a game that runs exceptionally smoothly on whatever hardware you play it on. It's even available on, there's a special version of the game available on the 3DS, but it's also available on the Nintendo Switch, the Dragon Quest XI S, like a special edition of the game. And now it's available pretty much everywhere, including Stadia, if you can believe it or not. And then Dragon Quest XII is a game that is planned for a worldwide release. So this game is, we can be pretty certain that this game will come to modern platforms, but we have no idea when it's going to come. We have no road mapping of any kind. And that's kind of the issue with a lot of this. So what we've learned here is that what are the most likely games that we're going to be getting soon-ish, whatever. Now, this isn't a guarantee by any means because I have no idea, but I'm just saying if we look at the release history, 4 through 6 seem like they are really likely games that could come to modern platforms. I hope that the versions of the games, when they come, are going to be good. I assume they will just port the mobile versions of these games, maybe hopefully clean them up a little bit, and they're going to be nice and upscaled, things like that. But it's still it's like pixel art graphics, but it's still kind of in 3D. If you played the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. But So 4, 5, and 6 are very likely to come. So if you really want to play Dragon Quest games and get into the series, I would not play 4, 5, and 6. I would wait because I think it's likely that we'll get those. Additionally, I would recommend holding off on playing 9 because 9 is another likely candidate to be ported onto modern platforms. It is the game that was released 12 years ago, and we have not seen a port or anything like that on any other platforms than the DS. So seems pretty likely that one could get a port and hopefully a nice like touch up, upscale kind of situation, clean up the menus, maybe add a quality of life improvement or an extra mode or something. I don't know. I mean, my whole thing is Square Enix, you don't have to be too fancy with these ports. We just need the games because they're not available. Anyway, so if you're wanting to get into the series, I would hold off on playing 4, 5, 6, and 9. If you wanna get into a Dragon Quest game, based on what we have, well, of course, there's the original trilogy, and I played Dragon Quest 1. I thought it was quite fun. Probably most people would recommend Dragon Quest 3. So if you just want to play a game on modern hardware, this is pretty much your option, is 3, because it is a much bigger game than the first 2. It has a lot more story, has a lot more going on with it, and a lot of people really, really love Dragon Quest 3. So that's probably your answer. There's also, but it is getting remade into an HD 2D remake. So do you really want to play the game and then be tempted to play it again? Maybe, maybe not. I kind of figure that's one thing that's kept me from playing 3 is that for the past year, we know that there's a remake coming. So why would I play a game and then have to turn around and put a bunch more hours into a remake? I don't know. I don't think I'm into that. I think I'd rather just play the remake. So that pretty much leaves Dragon Quest 7 and 8. If you want to get into the series, these are probably your 2 best options. And Dragon Quest 8 is, I think, generally regarded as the better game. In fact, many people will call Dragon Quest 8 the best game in the series, and some people will call 7 like one of the worst games. Not a bad game, of course, because there really aren't bad games in the series. But many people would say 7 is just probably a little too long. I mean, the game's over 100 hours, which is, pretty intense for a game that, looks like that. I think the 3DS version's considerably shorter. They were able to trim it down a lot. But Dragon Quest 8 is pretty much the one that you'd want to play. Now, will I feel stupid if they announce a remake of 8 that's upscaled and HD and beautiful and amazing? If they announce that tomorrow, will I feel stupid? Will I have egg on my face? Absolutely. So don't listen to me, but if you have to listen to me, I would say Dragon Quest 8 is probably the one that you could play. Now, how do you play it? I mean, you can play it on your 3DS. That's kind of considered the most complete version of the game. That's probably what I would do if I were you. By the way, I think it's worth saying that, the 3DS, I love the 3DS and I love the DS. These are incredible catalogs of games on these platforms. They're convenient, they're fun form factors, weird form factors, like the fact that they thought to have 2 screens and a stylus on only one screen. Very strange, but it ended up working so well. I mean, the DS is one of the, pretty much the best-selling handheld of all time. Almost sold more than the best-selling console of all time, the PS2. Dragon Quest 8 is, what am I saying? The DS and the 3DS are fantastic platforms. And if you play any of these games on the 3DS, you're going to have a kick-ass time. It's a really fun way to play games. As I was saying, though, I would much prefer to play these games on the big screen. So I find myself waiting and waiting and waiting. But I think that the safest bet is to play Dragon Quest 8 now on the 3DS if you just have to play a Dragon Quest game. Now, it is worth mentioning that, the series doesn't stop with the mainline games. There's a ton of other games. Dragon Quest Monsters is its own series in and of itself. There's Mystery Dungeon. We got Rocket Slime, which is DS and 3DS game that I loved very, very much. What else we got? Monster Battle Road? I've never even heard of that. I don't even know what that is. We got The Adventures of Dai. That's got a game coming out. That's based on the anime and manga, I believe. And then we got Dragon Quest Builders. We got Dragon Quest Heroes. Those are two series in and of themselves. We got Dragon Quest Treasures coming later. That may become a series. And we got a ton of mobile games. So many mobile games that were made for mobile, unlike the main series. We got like Dragon Quest Walk, which is kind of an AR game based on your walking and your step count and stuff. So I would probably be inclined to recommend Dragon Quest Builders 2, because even though it has a lot of tangential things from the experience that you get with a mainline Dragon Quest game, like all the building that you have to do, if you're okay with that building, I would say Dragon Quest Builders 2 is a pretty easy recommendation to make if you're just craving Dragon Quest and you just have to play another entry. Dragon Quest Builders is a solid action RPG series that you might take a look at. Apparently story-wise and progression-wise, it plays a lot like a mainline game. So there's always that. Okay, guys, I think I'm kind of done rambling now. Dragon Quest games, we need them. We need them on modern platforms. We need to have them available. Square Enix, what are you doing, man? Like, can you give us a roadmap? Can you give us a hint of a roadmap of what games might be coming next, so we can at least prioritize what games we might want to play now on the old hardware versus waiting for whatever's coming up next in the pipeline? We'd love to know. I'd love for you guys to come forward and make this video irrelevant immediately by just telling us when we can expect all these games. So anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully we'll have more Dragon Quest to talk about sooner rather than later.